Now, China and India are locked in one of the tensest border disputes between the two countries in recent years. The standoff is over the Doklam plateau, located high in the Himalayas. Beijing has accused its neighbour of building up a military presence along the stretch of contested land, while India's ally Bhutan claims the area as its own. Now, India has sent troops across the border last month after Chinese teams began building a road extension toward the border. Well, to try and clear some of this up, let's speak to Sourabh Gupta. He's a senior Asia-Pacific policy specialist at the Institute for China-American Studies and joins us from Washington. Mr. Gupta, thanks for joining us here on TRT. Well, now, this is all over 34 square mile piece of land high in the Himalayas. What's the big deal?
The big deal is that for India, that is a fairly sensitive security area. It's a tri-junction area between China, India, and Bhutan, and particularly an area where the Indian landmass kind of gets narrow and constricted. It's called the chicken's neck. And India has always had kind of security fears in this sensitive area, including the fact that in 1962, when the Chinese did attack, they did attack in this sector and they defeated the Indians roundly in this sector. And so that's why there is a heightened degree of security from the Indian side.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned the 1962 war. There's no thought at the moment, is there, that this could escalate into full-scale conflict between these two nuclear-powered nations?
I would say the chances are very low. One of the wise things that they have done over the past 20, 25 years is write down a number of border protocols, which basically makes the boundary line, the disputed boundary line, more or less an area of more or less unarmed. So at best, soldiers are carrying very, very light weapons. And that's why it's more about fisticuffs out there rather than really shooting at each other. I don't foresee that changing, but I do foresee China imposing political reprisals, political punishments for Indian actions out there down the line if India does not withdraw unilaterally quickly.
Well, we'll see if that does happen. Of course, sort of stepping back from this a second, this is all about the dominant power in that area, isn't it? Whether it's to be India or China. And there is some issue over trade in the economy, with China recently launching its new One Belt, One Road project that upset India in some respects. There's more at play here, isn't there, than just a border dispute?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There's more playing out here. And yes, India had a fairly hostile reception to the Belt and Road Initiative, especially the summit which happened in May in Beijing. But I would put the finger out here in terms of trying to point where the Chinese anger resides or flows from, and that has to do with over the last, I would say, 9 months or perhaps 12 months. India has allowed a lot more leeway to the Dalai Lama to conduct political activities on Indian soil, which has included meeting up with the US ambassador, having the US ambassador in an area of sensitive Indo-Chinese territory, which is under dispute. There have been a number of meetings which the Chinese have not been very happy with regard to Dalai Lama activities in India, and India essentially using the Dalai Lama in their relations with China as a tool and as a lever. And I think part of what we are seeing in Doklam is a response to India not being responsible enough in trying to safeguard the India-China relationship, particularly from the Tibet angle.
Okay, Sourabh Gupta from the China-American Institute for China-American Studies. Thanks for your time.